This is Dr. James with Helpmommy.com. The other day I did a video about how being outside without hat or scarf or cold wasn't what made you sick. Now, it didn't mean that it couldn't hurt you. You could get hypothermia, you could get frostbite, you could have all kinds of terrible things. But it isn't what made you sick with a cold. And, well, I had several people that thought my medical license should be taken away. I had some Hispanic moms and grandmas that thought I should be hit with a shoe. Several people just thought I was an idiot and that I was full of crap. And this is where things get a little complicated, because you do get more sick in the winter, but it doesn't have anything to do with you not wearing the proper clothing. Several people like to cite the study that if you decrease the temperature, that your immune system and the way it reacted through your nose decreased and made you more likely to get sick. Absolutely true. There's actually no protest from me at all. I would also like to say that wearing your hat, your coat, and your scarf doesn't increase the temperature of the air going in your nose. So their argument didn't make much sense. But it is absolutely true that we do see more colds during the winter months. But the evidence for it being purely because it's cold or you being cold is not there. No, if you take a pediatrician's average workflow for illnesses, most of it happens during the months of November through about March. And there are several reasons why we are more likely to get infected with a virus called the common cold during the winter months than during the summer. But it's not necessarily you being cold. So here are the reasons why. One, it is predominantly during the school year. So we have lots of kids who are being trapped into small rooms, breathing the same air, so that when they sneeze, cough, and exchange respiratory particles and viruses, it's very easy for them to spread it one to another and then them take it home, infect their younger siblings, their older siblings, their parents, and their grandparents. So that's one reason. The other reason is that because we're inside most of the time, because it's cold, our vitamin D levels decrease because we naturally get vitamin D through sunlight, and we're not being exposed to the sun. Well, we don't get as much vitamin D. Also during the winter, if we're not in school, the days are shorter. So again, less exposure to sunlight, lower vitamin D, increased susceptibility to illnesses. Also, because it's cold and we're not outside as much, exercise goes down, and exercise is definitely essential to good immunity and good health. There's also been some studies that found that the viruses, the cold viruses, replicate better in cooler and dry air. Now, when people say, well, why was it called a cold? It was because all these things just happened to happen during the cold. But the infectious itself is a virus. We have to get it from somewhere else. And if you have areas that don't get cold, let's say the tropics, the Caribbean, do they not get colds? They still get colds. Their cold season just corresponds with the rainy season. Again, when it's rainy, they're not outside as much. They're not exercising as much. They're not exposed to sunlight as much. Their vitamin D goes down, and they're all trapped in small areas, and they start spreading illnesses. If you ever want to know the true, argument that being cold doesn't make the illnesses worse, right now, which this is November 7th, 2023, right now, if you were to look on flutracker.com, which is how we track the incidence of the flu, which is like the mega cold of the season, the territory in the United States that has the highest incidence of the flu, Puerto Rico, not the coldest territory. And the state in the continental United States that has the highest flu numbers right now, Florida. Not exactly the bastion of cold weather. So, does it happen more in cold? Absolutely. Does it happen because you didn't wear your hat or your coat or your scarf? No. Does that mean that you shouldn't do it? Not necessarily, but the old adage that you're going to catch a cold because you didn't wear a coat doesn't hold true. But you will be a lot more uncomfortable when you're cold, so you might as well wear it. And, when as a parent, instead of lying to our kids, it's perfectly safe to just say, wear your coat because I told you so. If we start doing more of that, our kids will probably end up better.